So the new Marvel movie Eternals just came out today. Leading up to the release has been really interesting seeing the critics' reaction. It currently has a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 53% on Metacritic. So I was kind of scared, not gonna lie. Going into the theater, seeing it, I did not come out of the theater very pleased. Eternals is about a group of aliens who come to the Earth to protect it for thousands and thousands of years on a mission from their creator, I guess. As it later is revealed in the movie, they're created. They're not actually born like on a planet. They're created in outer space. They need to protect Earth from the deviants because the deviants are going to kill all the people, I guess, and take over the Earth. So we start in 5000 BC, and one thing that is very, very just annoying is we constantly get flashbacks to when the Eternals first came to Earth and also present day. And sometimes it's not said whether it's present day or not, so that can be very confusing. And that made the story a little bit confusing because there's one character that is supposed to be dead, except they are in the movie the entire time. And on the posters. So, I mean, nice. That was very confusing and just downright annoying at sometimes, where sometimes they would be in present day and then they would be in like 1558 and with the Romans or whatever. I wanted to bring this up. There's this, in the beginning, one of the Eternals gives a kid a knife, and then it's flash forward to present day, and like on the building it says this like artifact or whatever, and it's the knife. It's never explained afterwards. That has no importance to the movie whatsoever. Just a little detail, but that was the first thing that you saw when you were watching the movie, and that's something I picked up on right away. I was like, what happened to the knife? What's this kid? What? I don't know. So our main character is named Cersei, and she has a boyfriend. Get this. His name is Dane. That weirded me out for the whole movie, because every single time they would say his name, I thought something was talking to me. So it was just weird, because like I heard it and I was like, did they just say Dane? And then after I got out of and then they kept saying, and I was like, that they're not saying Dave, they're saying Dane. So I came out of the theater and then saw that and I was like, oh my god. But yeah, so I guess I had an Eternals cameo. If you see Eternals, make sure to take a picture of it, of the character, or even if you don't see it, find a picture on Google or something, and then post it on Twitter with the hashtag Dane cameo, and let's get that trending on Twitter. Trust me, TeePublic merch coming very soon with the cameo in Eternals. Trust me. So we also learn right away that the reason that the Eternals are a very powerful group, but the reason that they didn't fight Thanos is because when they came to Earth, they were instructed not to fight anybody besides the Deviants, because it would throw off human evolution. And then we start getting the flashbacks where at one point it's only Cersei and Sprite, who is one of the other Eternals who like know each other, I guess, that's still in touch with each other. So it's also it's a getting back together story, and it's also very easy for them to find each other. I'm not quite sure how that works. Did they travel by map?
Good idea, Fozzie.
Or Do they have GPS? Like, how do they know where each other are? But we start getting the flashbacks, and it's confusing because at one point they're all together, and at one point they're trying to look for each other. So I said before that those flashbacks are really, really bad. But the first flashback we get is to when Cersei and Icarus, which Icarus is the second main character, I guess you could say, in this movie, and I'll get to him later in the spoiler section. So Icarus and Cersei love each other, and there is a huge place for love in this movie, because every single character loves another person or thing. Cersei and Icarus love each other. The guy that looks like Credence from Fantastic Beasts, I'm not quite sure what his name is, he loves the girl that cannot speak and does sign language and is fast. They love each other. Gilgamesh, I'm pretty sure, loves Angelina Jolie's character. And my boy Fastos is gay, which Fastos is my favorite character in this whole movie. He's just fantastic. He's a family man. You know, he doesn't take any crap from anybody. And he's just great. I'll get to him later. Right away, we're introduced to Cersei and Icarus's love for each other. And they kiss. 30 minutes into the movie, we already have our first kiss. And love interest. And then right away, we also have a sex scene. Which is the first in Marvel history. And doesn't fit in a Marvel movie. Now, I know there's been love in other movies in Marvel history, like Nat and David Banner. They loved each other. But that suited their characters. That wasn't the only thing that defined them. These characters, it's almost like this is their only character trait. It's just weird. Like Nat and Hawk, they loved each other because they didn't have anybody else to love. They didn't have any friends before, so when they started to like each other, it was new to them. Cersei and Icarus, that's like the only thing that they have. They love and then they get married. Where is that in the rest of the movie? They don't even... Did they get a divorce? Like, is Eternal's divorce like canon? I don't know, because there's no reference to them getting married anywhere except at the very, very, very end. So I don't know. I don't know. One of the other characters, his name is Kingo. He's the first that they find. He's an actor. He's the first that they find when they're trying to reunite everybody. I hate him. Good for the actor to get this role, because I looked at his IMDb. He's had minor roles. He was in Central Intelligence as if you know that movie where they're trying to get the airplane or the helicopter, where they're in the aircraft hangar and the guy has the snake guarding his lunch. That's him. His main character trait is that he's a comic relief. I didn't like him. This doesn't feel like a Marvel movie. It really doesn't. It feels like a DC movie, because everything is crammed into this movie, and DC does that a lot. Because DC isn't like Marvel where they have... Well, they're trying to do this, but DC isn't like Marvel where they have the MCU. So when a DC comes out with a movie, they have to put everything into that one movie because DC doesn't know if it's going to get another one. Eternals is not a good movie, but it's going to get a second one just because it's Marvel. It's going to do amazing in the box office because it's Marvel. So it just didn't... The comedy wasn't there. The characters certainly weren't there. The powers were cool. The powers that the characters were cool. But other than that, the characters weren't that strong. It just didn't feel right. So, time for spoiler talk. Go to the time marker on the screen for non-spoiler talk. So, it is revealed that Olympia, the planet that they're supposed to be from, is fake. It was created by their creator, and he also created the Deviants, which they went wrong. So, he created the Eternals to fight them. There was one point in the movie where somebody was talking to Sprite, and Sprite said, or they were saying about the Eternals is like Peter Pan, where Peter Pan is Circe, they're the leader of the group. And they said that Sprite was Tinkerbell, because Tinkerbell wanted Peter Pan, except she couldn't have him. And then Sprite went on to say, and I'm not directly quoting this, but she said something about why did whoever was the creator, I forget his name right now, but why did they create me like this? So, like, is Sprite gay? Does she want to be a regular human? I think she wanted to be a regular human because later in the movie, she gets to be a regular human? And that's why she's mad at the creator? But yeah, when I have written on here Sprite gay, but now I'm not so sure that that's the case. If I completely got that wrong, please let me know in the comments. But that's how I interpreted that quote. I don't know if I'm right or not. Also, one of the characters named Gilgamesh, during their fight, dies, and the deviant that killed him takes his power, so now that deviant is powerful. We don't see that deviant until the end, of course, and that deviant immediately gets killed by Angelina Jolie's character, Athena, which is the abbreviation for Athena, Athena, the goddess, of course. Let's talk about Phastos. So, he is my favorite character in this movie because, the big news-making headline was, there was the first gay Marvel character. That needs to stop. Can we just have a gay character in a movie without it making a headline, please? It happened with Cruella. It's happening with this. Can we just please normalize gay people in movies? Like, it's driving me crazy. But they also had his husband, before he left, shared a kiss on screen. So, cool. Thanks, Marvel, for that. It's always cool to see movie studios be progressive with that kind of stuff. And there was just something with Phastos that I liked. He was kind of like the Tony Stark in Endgame, where he didn't want to go because of his family. And at the end, he's talking to his kid about how violence isn't right, even though he literally just killed somebody. He literally saved the universe by violence. But he was just cool. He was making jokes, like this one.
I bet you've built the perfect safe house. I mean, what's this even made of? Vibranium? Fall collection. IKEA.
Yeah, but he was just a cool character that I really, really liked. Eternals altogether, it doesn't feel like a Marvel movie. The story is not that great. I just didn't really like the story. The way Icarus dies, I guess you could say, is dumb. There's a twist villain in it, and the twist villain has no motivation to be a villain at all. He just one day decides, hey, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to become a bad guy because I don't like what's going on. I don't like that I know the truth. If you knew the truth, you could fix it. Don't become a bad guy. There's no motive for that. There's no motivation for him to become a bad guy. And then and then somebody else joins him from the Eternals group, and they have no motivation for it. They're like, oh, I don't want to be an Eternal anymore, so I'm going to fight the Eternals. You're still gonna be, that's not gonna free you, I guess. Yeah, so this is probably the worst Marvel movie since, I'm not even gonna say Dark World, because Thor Dark World, I liked, kind of. It wasn't the best. I should do a Marvel ranking at some point. It's on my list, but Thor Dark World is down there. It's not as bad as Hulk, so I'm gonna put it somewhere between Dark World and Hulk, because Hulk is just god-awful. But this isn't, there's some strong points in it. Like, the powers are really cool. It's always cool to see the superhero aspect be implemented in the real world, like today real world. One of the characters is named Dane. You don't see that often, so I'm gonna give points for that. But everything else, it's just, it doesn't feel right to be in the MCU. And also it doesn't really have a place in the, I could see this coming directly after Endgame. And I feel like everything that doesn't have to do with time should come directly before Endgame, before we started all the time stuff. Because now we have Loki, we have WandaVision, we have Doctor Strange. Shang-Chi kind of ties in with Doctor Strange now, so that's kind of have to do with time. I'm a little stretching on that, but that kind of has to do with the time stuff. You have Spider-Man coming, you have Doctor Strange 2 coming, so everything in the MCU has to do with time now, and this doesn't really have to. So I wish this was the first movie after Endgame, because everything tied directly into Endgame there was direct, the characters were literally talking about the events of Endgame, so I feel like it should have came right after Endgame. Rank time. After everything I just laid out for you, I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 10. Because there are a lot of things I disliked, but there are some things I like. I don't really remember them because everything I liked I didn't really write down because I wanted to make sure I hit on everything that I did like. But I did like Phastos, of course. I like Gilgamesh. And the Dane character, of course. Why wouldn't I like my own cameo? So, I'm gonna give Eternals a 5 out of 10. See it when it comes out on Disney+. It's not worth the $27 I paid at the theater. So, I hope this review helped you. If you were gonna go see it, sorry. So if you enjoyed this review, let me know by hitting that like button and consider subscribing. It would make me a very happy man. And with that, I will see you in the next one. Have a magical day, everybody.